quick disclaimer, this is not Adam Sandler's mower, even though I said it is. Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for coming back for yet another video. There is a funny story. If you want to stick around to the end of the video, I'll tell you about it. It's kind of a funny childhood thing that it does kind of weirdly emotionally tie in with Adam Sandler. Not that this was physically his mower. I think he'll get a kick out of it. It was something between me and my older sister. I got it for free. It's kind of hanging on by a thread. There was like a bungee cord wrapped over it. I don't know what that's trying to hold down. So it's non-running. This Briggs engine is fairly common. I think it's like probably the smallest one that you're gonna find. That little like Tupperware size gas tank with the diaphragm pickup tube carburetor type thing. Once again, I appreciate you joining for this one. Let's tear into it and see what needs to come back. Okay, first things first, I want to get this bungee cord off there. You know what, let me swing it around here. I'm assuming that was on there for a reason. Oh yeah. Geez, that wasn't even screwed on. It's not too bad. So this obviously is not screwing in for whatever reason. All right, we'll take a look at that later. Oh, you know what? There's supposed to be a spring there that holds that throttle open. That governor and throttle are connected, and it's supposed to hold tension on this this bar right there, and then you can bend that bar back just to get the RPMs right. Let's check that oil. The oil looks new. It looks like it's right at the full line. Yeah, might be a little bit low. All right, little orange flicker right in that cylinder. There we go. Okay, so I found a spring that should be similar in length. I'm gonna put this on here and I'm going to guess it's going to run high. It's just a prediction. All right, let's just start there. Again, it's probably gonna run really high, but we just wanna see if it fires. Should do a little bit more down the mouth. Just want to see what that gives us. Okay, let's get that, I'm going to say gas tank loosely. Let's get that gas tank and carburetor set up off of there. It did run, you know, normal. I thought it was just going to take off. So we might be pretty close on that you know, makeshift governor spring. There's two bolts. There's one right there and there's one right there. That's a 3/8 and that's a half. Which engineer was behind this I would like to meet one day. There's really not a whole lot of gas in there. These are held on by 5 screws, Phillips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a lot of schmaltz in there. Okay, so one thing that I do have too, this is the gasket set for this particular setup. I have that from a previous project that I have just in case. I don't want to default to using it. It's just easy. I think one of the reasons, and if you follow this channel and you know a little bit about me, you know that I don't like, Chinese carburetors. I think one of the underlying reasons is, when you're working on this stuff, it's fun. Are some people trying to flip it and make a profit? Yes, but it's kind of at the end of the day, it's just like it's cheap, no pun intended, to just, take the carb off and just dump a $10 or $15 carburetor on there. It's a little bit more fun just to find out exactly what was going on with it. That's my opinion though. I know everybody's slightly different, but there's my 2 cents. So this gasket actually looks decent. I actually think that will be a survivor. So right here, this hole right here, right underneath my finger, that is the thing that is not threading our piece. So I'm going to take a little pick, and oh boy, it might just be as simple as there's just a bunch of dirt packed in there. Let's hit it with just a little bit of carb spray. So I think it very well may be this screw. I do have another one. Let me grab that one really quick. Okay, here's another one. That one seems to want to thread in, but not very much. I'm just going to start hitting this with some carb spray. I don't have that much too, so I'm going to be sparing. Okay, false alarm. I actually have some extra. The inside of the carb is pretty clean. The outside is dirty. I'm hesitant to knock off some of the outside stuff just because it's kind of unnecessary. I might clean it later, but I want to take this and kind of drain it. Can't really tell the color of this in here, but this reservoir and the carb are good. The last thing is this little diaphragm. It still feels good. It doesn't feel like it's too hard. The only problem is it's just dirty. I don't really want to use the carb spray on it, so that is very destructive. I think that is going to be just fine. A lot of it cleaned off really well. Okay, all good there. Doesn't look pretty, but hopefully it performs the way it should. I'm gonna leave that air filter for now. I'm not gonna clean it. You can just clean these with like warm soapy water. Okay, moment of truth. I don't know what's going on, but there's just this little deviation in there, and it's just getting really hard to turn, and I really don't want to turn it more than I need to. That's probably too far, but there's still a little bit of... All right, just because I'm OCD, got a little washer. Oh, look at that. All right, we'll center it. Nobody will ever know. Okay, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but let's just say hypothetically it fires up. Okay, I want to, I'll cut it off after, 30 seconds. I do want to throw a tachometer on there, and we'll just make sure it's around 3,600 RPM. Just as predicted, a little bit high. Okay, I got that tachometer on there. 3,600 is our goal. So I got that spark plug boot off. I don't know if that crankshaft was bent. It was giving me a lot of vibrations. I'm gonna look right there, and I am gonna go around. I see what it is. Let me get the blade off. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so the crankshaft is not bent, but see this side? That has like a big hunk taken out of it, and that side does not. Obviously it contours that way, but that one, this looks like it went ripping into something. So I'm gonna guess, since this side has the chunk taken out, it's gonna go like this. When I put it on this little balancer, it's gonna go, because this side obviously is heavier because this has less metal and this side has more metal. So let's see if that, so it's gonna go down that way, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna work on that. Try to get that back to square, and I think that should fix our, vibration or whatever I was feeling down there. to get that put on there. I have a feeling that's probably going to have made a big difference, at least from what I was feeling. Again, crankshaft did not seem to be bent, but it was giving me a little bit of crap from a vibration standpoint. And obviously when one side is much heavier than the other, it's not the most precise piece of machinery out there, but obviously it was designed a certain way. So when you have one side that's bigger than the other, over time too, that's really going to put a lot of wear on that engine. It's kind of mesmerizing. Okay, believe it or not, that made an even bigger difference than I thought it would. It is so smooth. It's so crazy to think how such a little teeny variation can make such a big difference. If ignored, that would have been, just a pain in the butt for the next person. They wouldn't have had as best of a mowing experience possible. So let's get this cleaned up, and I think that should just about do it for this one. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully you found a little bit of value, a little bit of entertainment within this video. I appreciate you watching. I never really knew how much a little bit of a variation within a blade could do for the, for the operation or for the functionality of the machine. I wish you would have been able to put your hands on it to feel it, because I know seeing it through a video or just taking my word for it, it doesn't hit the same with you as it does with me, but there was such a significant difference. I would say, 6 out of 10 bad, and it went down to like 3 out of 10. So it was a pretty big difference. I didn't think it would make that much of a difference, or it could have made that big of a difference, but it did. So if you're gonna take one thing away from this video, that's what I would. Moving forward, if you see something like that, don't neglect it. It'll probably need some attention sooner rather than later. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate all the engagements that you guys have with me and this channel in this video. If you wanna see more content like this, consider subscribing to the channel. I am really loving everything involving what I'm doing on this channel and how many people I'm able to interact with and engage with, and some of the feedback I'm getting, it's been so humbling and overwhelming. So thank you if you've been one of those people that have sent me a message saying how much you've been enjoying this particular chapter that I'm in with this channel. There's really only a handful of you, so you probably know who you are, but thank you. It's very awesome and very, very humbling. If you're curious, some of the potential projects that we have coming up for this channel, I have an Aaron's riding lawnmower. There is a tiller that I got from a neighbor. What else is there? Oh, I have this Exmark commercial push mower that I got for an incredible deal. I'm actually halfway through the video. I'm waiting on a part in the mail right now. That project is really cool. Okay, so here's a quick story of what I mean by this is Adam Sandler's mower. I found the mower on Facebook Marketplace. It was free, like I said at the beginning of the video. It was in my hometown where I grew up, and I live about an hour away from there now, but my parents still live there. So, my dad and I are still pretty close. I text my dad, I'm like, hey, are you in the area? Can you stop by? Are you driving by? Can you swing by and grab this for me? He said, yeah, sure, that's fine. So I messaged the guy, and he was like, yeah, sure, send him on over. So I was like, okay, cool. My dad happened to be driving by in the next 10 minutes, which worked out great. And so, the guy was like, yeah, just have him come to this and this address. So growing up, I was probably 10 at the time when this happened. And I have an older sister who's a year older than me. We were driving by this house not too far from where we grew up, and it was off the main road, and it was a new build, just a regular single family, 2-story home, nothing crazy. And for whatever reason, my sister looked over and she told me that Adam Sandler was building that house and he was moving in there. And I just decided to believe it. I was like, sweet, that's cool. Adam Sandler's gonna be our neighbor. That was it. That's the whole story. I'm 30 now, that was when I was 10. It was 20 years ago. So when I texted my dad, And he said, yes. I messaged the guy who was selling it or giving it away back, and he sent me the address. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to give my dad some context, like, you know, oh, it's over by the, you know, the high school or wherever it was. I Googled the address. Lo and behold, it's that house. And it was not Adam Sandler, who I was messaging. Here's the funniest part. We had never spoken about it after that when my sister told me, oh, hey, Adam Sandler's moving in there. And that was it. That was all that was said, literally one time. I called her, I remembered it, and I called her after, when my dad was on his way, I hung up with him. I just called her, I'm like, this is gonna be like really random, but do you remember that house that they were building when we were growing up at like such and such intersection? I was like, do you remember who you convinced me that was moving in there? And without hesitation, she was like, Adam Sandler. I was like, oh my gosh, how do you remember that? And I was like, Dad's going to get a mower from Adam Sandler's house right now. And she was like, what? No way. So we shared a chuckle, and it was funny. And then I knew from the moment my dad ended up grabbing the thing, I wouldn't have normally made a video on this just because it's just one of those little dinky projects, but the project was destined to have a video with the title, Bringing Back Adam Sandler's Lawnmower to Life. I'll catch you guys in the next one.